Well, if you're ever hurt in a car wreck or stranded in a burning building, heaven forbid, first responders always flood the scene. They spring into action, oftentimes without even a moment to breathe. Alex Jokich joins us now to kick off a new series, Ready, Set, Rescue, highlighting the crucial training they go through that may someday save your life.
Well, Marcy, sometimes I think we take for granted just how quickly a firefighter can uncoil a hose or a paramedic can splint a broken leg. Well, every Monday this month, a different agency will put me through their training. This week, I tagged along with Life EMS. They respond to about 85 calls a day in Kalamazoo County alone.
Priority 1 to a car accident.
Within minutes of hopping on board with Life EMS, our unit was dispatched to a car crash.
Shane route to Central.
Can I see this arm real quick?
41, we're going to board just.
Moments later, we were called out to help a person knocked unconscious. The paramedics moved quickly and confidently, making it all look easy. But as we found out,
what you were doing is going to the esophagus.
oh, it's heavy. And that's bad.
That's bad.
It takes time to learn the ropes. To make it easier for me to tackle, the crew broke down our training into topics, starting with the most basic of maneuvers, using a stretcher.
We show up and they say, oh, you two little girls can't lift this person. And we say, actually, we can.
Bridget Hurley breaks it down into 2 steps.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Lift to the hips.
And one more.
Then take it to the top. Seems simple enough, but let's not forget,
This is our first in bag. We bring it with everything. You can feel how heavy that is.
you're carrying gear, too.
Now you can hold this. This is our cardiac monitor.
And with that, it's my turn.
1, 2, 3, up.
Starting off strong,
1, 2, 3.
then a bit of a struggle. Luckily, they do have one power stretcher. A glimpse into the future for first responders. Moving on, the team buckles me up in a stair chair.
There we go.
Paramedics use this when a patient can't make it safely down the steps, tilting it at just the right angle
Keep your arms in. Perfect.
and guiding it on down.
The last thing that we're looking at here is basic splinting.
This time I get to play patient.
If you break right there in the arm, I want to do the joint above and below.
But let's say it's more serious than that, like a broken neck. I'd need a backboard, essentially a full body splint.
What's going to happen next is we're going to roll you up onto this side.
The team checks my spine to see if any bones are out of place, then rolls me back onto the board, stabilizes my head, and straps me in, body first, then head.
This is a way that your head will keep very, very still.
Finally, it's time for the tilt test. Since I don't slide off, it's a job well done for this Life EMS team. Now, of course, we're just scratching the surface of paramedic training here. We have so much more to show you in our next hour. Coming up at 6, Life EMS takes us into a simulation lab to work with high-tech mannequins that can blink, talk, and even sweat. Stay tuned to see if I can successfully start an IV or save a patient going into cardiac arrest.
Welcome back. In our last hour, we kicked off a new Monday morning series, Ready, Set, Rescue. Every week, our own Alex Jokich will be put to the test, finding out what it takes to become a first responder. She joins us now live after spending a day in training with Life EMS. Alex.
Well, Marcy, one of the most fascinating parts of paramedic training here in Kalamazoo takes place in what they call the simulation lab, or the sim lab. It's home to a handful of extremely high-tech mannequins, and it's where Life EMS paramedics hone their skills before attempting anything on a human.
I'm a 24-year-old female that is having difficulty breathing.
Life EMS rushes to the scene.
You're doing really good. Okay, I know it's really scary.
It's a scenario these paramedics are fully prepared for. They've been through it hundreds of times in this state-of-the-art sim lab. If you didn't know better, you might think this was an actual ER. WWMT and the Kalamazoo County Medical Control Authority outfitted it with true-to-life equipment and monitors. Even the mannequins are about as real as you can get. They blink, sweat, and even breathe. Speaking of which, John Doe here needs a little help. Should I give it a try? Yeah. First up in my training, airways.
When he takes a breath, you give a breath.
Paramedic Matt Dawson teaches me how to pump a bag valve mask. Then I try my hand with an OPA.
Start going in like so, and then spin around.
So our patient doesn't choke on his tongue. And finally, I attempt an intubation.
See, so right now you're breaking his teeth.
Oh, no. Yes, it's harder than it looks. Before I know it, our patient's in full-on cardiac arrest.
No pulse out. Continue compressions.
13, 14, 15.
Shock with some compressions. 1, 2, 3.
Nearly 7 minutes later, success. John Doe is stable, and we're on to topic number 3.
All right, I feel a vein right there, and that's my vein that I'm going to go in.
Nick Oliver drills me on the basics. Tourniquet, check. Alcohol wipe, check. Needle, saline flush lock, check, check, check. Let's give it a go.
See the bevel up, just like that. Perfect.
So far, so good. And then...
You probably stop right about there. Oh.
Too much? Not good? What happens now? Then the patient gets mad because we have to do it again. Looks like I'm not quite qualified. We'll leave the next one to the professionals. The name alone seems complicated.
Intraosseous is, as the name implies, inside the bone.
Essentially an IV to the bone, this procedure is much less common.
Once you feel a pop, that means you're inside the bone marrow. That gives us a direct route to administer potentially life-saving drugs.
What? And with that, we wrap up my crash course in paramedics. But this team's training is ongoing. They're in the sim lab every quarter to brush up on their skills.
Having that training there, always having it in the forefront of our minds instead of on the back burners of our minds is going to be absolutely essential so that we can provide the best care to our patients.
Now, that obviously is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to paramedic training. I trained for one day, they trained for years. And of course, we'd like to thank Life EMS for taking the time and having the patience to teach us the ropes of emergency response. As we mentioned, we have a lot more to cover. Tune in next Monday as we gear up to face the flames with Ashtemo Fire Department. Brittany.